הכוכבים תמן, את הסהר רטף בשחור, מצפון ועד תימן אין קרן אור. את כל הכוכבים תמן, את הסהר רטף בשחור, מצפון ועד תימן אין קרן אור. אין אור, אין קרן אור, אין אור, אין קרן אור. והבוקר אלמן נאמן, שק אפור על מותניו יחגור, מצפון ועד תימן אין קרן אור. והבוקר אלמן נאמן, שק אפור על מותניו יחגור, מצפון ועד תימן אין קרן אור. אין אור, אין קרן אור, אין אור, אין קרן אור, אין אור, אין אור, אין קרן אור, אין אור, אין אור, אין קרן אור.
Shalom, everybody. Thank you very much. It's great to be with you again this evening. This is my 6th year emceeing this event, and I look forward to it every year. Thank you. Thank you. This weekend, NBA basketball star Ron Artest, of all people, had the word defense written in Hebrew as part of his new haircut. He gets it, okay, he gets it. But seriously, once again, Israel finds itself faced with very tough challenges and difficult decisions as it strives to ensure the safety of its citizens and borders. And now it's time for us to help Israel meet her latest round of challenges, and that's why we're all here tonight. So without further ado, I am always delighted for this part of the dinner to introduce our beloved dinner chairman, the one and only Benny Shabtai.
Thank you, Monica, for this wonderful introduction. In a year filled with so much upheaval and uncertainty, it's good to know that some things don't change. I'm humbled and honored to be standing here again with you. Each year, we all gather together more than 1,300 strong to support the State of Israel. Each year, we come together to reaffirm Israel's importance to the Jewish people and to us. Unfortunately, what also remains constant is Israel's enemies continue to call for her destruction. Today, Israel is faced with a difficult and complex situation. And no one is more keenly aware of that than the Prime Minister of the State of Israel, Netanyahu. Earlier, he managed to carve out a few moments from his very hectic schedule to speak with me and to share some of his insight.
Mr. Prime Minister, we truly appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Benny, I know of your concern and I appreciate your commitment to upgrade Israel's security by supporting the IDF. That's, at the end of the day, the one defense that the Jewish people have against those who wish to extinguish the life of the Jewish state.
You have recently been quoted as saying that Israel is open to peace talks with Syria. Can you foresee peace agreements with the Syrian and with the Palestinian, similar to the ones that Israel signed with Egypt and with Jordan?
If the leaders of the Palestinians and the leaders of Syria want peace the way that Anwar Sadat of Egypt and the late King Hussein of Jordan wanted peace, then yes, we could have them. Any time that Israel met with an Arab leader who was genuinely committed to peace, genuinely committed to taking his people towards peace, we made peace. The same is true today. If there is a genuine willingness to come forward and make a genuine peace with us, then you can be sure and absolutely count on the fact that my hand and the hand of my government and the hand of the people of Israel, we seize a hand of peace that is stretched out to us.
We hope it will happen, and soon. Iran claims that it has enriched uranium to a higher level than ever before. This, of course, raises fear that it's moving closer to producing a nuclear weapon. How concerned should we be about these developments?
Well, we should all be concerned because Iran threatens Israel openly. It might arm terrorists and export the danger of nuclear terror far and wide. And of course, the arming of Iran with nuclear weapons would spark off a nuclear arms race in the already unstable Middle East. The question is, what do you do about that? And I think the only thing that the international community must do now is to have sanctions with teeth. The U.S. is leading the effort on sanctions, and I think it's a very important one, and Israel is trying to help with it. I believe that the only sanctions that will have an effect, a telling effect, are those that are sharp and biting, and those should include the sanctions on the import of gasoline into Iran and the export of oil from Iran. And the United States is the closest friend and ally of Israel in the world. And to friends and allies, we say, let us work together to achieve a genuine peace, which means a peace based on the acceptance of Israel and security, because in our tough neighborhood, peace without security doesn't last for a minute. But in the same breath, I say, let us work together to have the international community stop Iran from acquiring atomic weapons.
On the personal note, when you think back to your days as a combat soldier, is there something in particular that stands out?
Well, there are many things that stand out, but I suppose when I was a young soldier, and this was in the midst of the war of attrition. We've since made peace with Egypt, but in the bitter days of those exchanges, I was involved in one of the operations across the Suez Canal, and in this operation, in a firefight, we lost Chaim Ben Yonah, who was a fellow soldier. He was strapping, literally stood up above everyone else, and he was the first of our intake to go to officer school. And after he fell and we found his body several days later, I went up to see his family in Kibbutz Yechiam, and I'd never met his parents. And I met Shlomit, Chaim's mother, who had been in the camps in the Holocaust. She said Chaim had been born soon after I left the camps, I think in a transit camp on the way to Israel. And she said, had he been born a few years earlier, he would have been one of 1 million Jewish babies tossed into the fire. And though my son fell, he fell wearing the uniform of an Israeli soldier, of a Jewish soldier. And that's all the difference in the world. And I think that statement that Shlomit Vilmush told me on that day in Yechiam is the story of the meaning of Israel and the meaning of the IDF. And I salute you again for buttressing the foundation of our existence.
Mr. Prime Minister, it has been a privilege to speak with you. All of us wish you well and pray for your success.
Well, Benny, you're doing the right thing. You're supporting the right cause, and I salute you for it. Thank you.
On behalf of all of us, I would like to thank the Prime Minister for taking the time to share his thought with us. And while we hope, and with all our hearts, that he succeed in his effort to avoid war and attain peace, we also know that Israel cannot rely on diplomacy alone and has to be prepared militarily. This difficult task rests in the hands of our guest speakers tonight, the Chief of Staff of the Israel Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Gabi Ashkenazi. Lieutenant General Ashkenazi is a very familiar face to many of us who have followed him as he rose through the rank of the Israel Defense Forces. The Chief of Staff of the Israel Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Gabi Ashkenazi.
Thank you. I stand before you today not only as the Chief of the IDF General Staff, but as a warrior who has lost many friends and soldiers in the battlefield and who has personally felt the agony of war. I stand before you tonight as an Israeli citizen, determined in his belief that my country, the nation state of the Jewish people, has right to freedom and security. But also, I stand before you as the commander of our nation guarding force. I am full of pride in our army and the remarkable way in which our soldiers fulfill their mission. Throughout the past year, our soldiers have demonstrated their devotion and courage in varied circumstances. Courageously, our Navy soldiers took over the Frankop, an arms smuggling ship which was making its way from the heart of the radical axis in Tehran to a terrorist organization in Syria and Lebanon. But at the same time, we react to others respond. The very same soldiers that act against terror are those who established the first field hospital in Haiti in no time. Proudly, we witness the men and women of the IDF saving the lives of so many who wouldn't have survived otherwise. These soldiers and their courageous action reflect the very definition of heroism and the true face of the IDF. But our soldiers do much more. Men and women from throughout the military who came from so many religious and different backgrounds embody the ethical code of the IDF on a daily basis. They demonstrate respect for human dignity and value human life regardless of the enemy cruelty. Our soldiers join ranks in pursuit of the national objective of the Israeli society, developing the Negev, contributing to the community, expanding the Jewish and the Zionist heritage, and shaping and fostering the national identity. As the commander of our soldier, I tell you upon this stage, we will win over those who seek our destruction. We will win thanks to our soldiers' courage and because of their moral compacts. Make no mistake about it. Tonight, I'm honored to present you the dream team of the IDF, 30 officers and soldiers representing the Air Force, the ground, and the Navy. They came especially to tell you about their experience in the IDF and to personally thank you for your support. I'm proud to introduce you the 4 of them.
תודה המפקד. Shalom, y'all. My name is Daniel. Pardon me if I speak with an accent, but I'm originally from Houston, Texas. Eight years ago this week, I made Aliyah, and shortly thereafter, I joined the IDF as a lone soldier. Today, I am a captain in the Israeli Air Force, operating unmanned drones, which look over Israel from above. As someone who carries out his mission from afar, since I'm not in the airplane, I can appreciate how you here tonight also watch over us soldiers from thousands of miles away. I would not be where I am today without your support and help throughout my service. Toda rabba.
Shalom. I am Lieutenant Colonel Raz Karni. I am the commander of Chavat HaShomer, a basic training base for soldiers who have problem background and even criminal records. For the past 3 decades, our program has helped thousands of young men and women improve the way they lead their life. We have helped them to become better soldiers, as well as more productive citizens of the State of Israel. I feel incredibly privileged and personally fulfilled to be able to help these teenagers and to serve in an army that is so sensitive to the educational and social needs of its own soldier. Toda rabba.
Salam እንደምን አመሻችሁ. My name is Netzanet Farede and I was born in Ethiopia. When I was 10 years old, I said goodbye to my mother and joined to my uncle. I joined to my uncle who is Mekalia. Today I'm a captain in the IDF Education Corps. I am responsible for helping special population groups such Ethiopian and Russian immigrants. We work with them, train them, and help empower them to become anything they want to be. I am also proud to wear this uniform and feel honored the IDF give me a chance to help change the future for members of my community. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Dr. Major Yuval, and in 1986, I was recruited to the IDF Air Force and became a helicopter combat pilot. I'm actually now in my 2nd tour of duty. In between, I went to medical school and became a pediatrician. Recently, I had the privilege of commanding the neonatal intensive care unit for the IDF mission to Haiti. Thank you. Thank you. In just 12 days, we've treated in our field hospital more than 1,000 patients, performed more than 300 life-saving operations, and delivered 16 babies. Thank you. 6 of those babies were premature and were treated in the neonatal intensive care unit. One of them, a beautiful baby boy, not more than 3 pounds, his weight, was named Israel in honor of the IDF. I myself am always ready to fight to save the Jewish homeland, but I much prefer fighting to save newborn babies' lives, of course. And I thank the IDF for the opportunity they gave me to do so in their blessing and to do this in their name. Thank you all. Toda Rabba.
You see, I told you, a real dream team. Today, we mark 2 years since Staff Sergeant Laron Vinay, may his memory be blessed, a fighter in the Givati Brigade, was killed after stepping on an explosive device in the Gaza Strip. Laron's parents were born mute, and he was their voice and connection to the outside world. Laron's parents are with us tonight. Please stand up. Thank you. I also wish to tell you about Staff Sergeant Tal Shabbat from the Navy SEALs unit, who was severely injured 3.5 years ago in a special operation in Bet Hanun, Gaza. Tal, please stand up. I want the audience to be able to see you. Tal? Hello. I met Tal 2 years ago in an IDF delegation to Poland, where the IDF soldiers and commanders visit the ghettos, concentration and death camps. For them, this visit is a reminder of the fact that even though we often pay a heavy price, evil can be beaten. Together with Tal and his friend, I stood at the Auschwitz-Birkenau death camp. I there swore never again, knowing full well that still today there are people who wish to wipe the Jewish state off the map. It is the IDF's job to make sure that our vicious enemy will not succeed in doing so. And I'm here tonight to tell you they will never succeed. Never. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the relative calm of the past year, which derives from the deterrence attained during Operation Cast Lead and the Second Lebanon War, we face highly complex security threat. The main threat on world's peace remain Iran, which is gradually achieving nuclear capabilities, while funding and equipping terrorist organizations in the Middle East and throughout the world. This reflects the Iranian attempt to harvest regional instability throughout its proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and other organizations. Therefore, the international community must stop Iranian nuclear program for its own sake, while all options should remain on the table. In the face of all this threat stand the Israeli Defense Forces. In order to further strengthen the IDF, we have created the multi-year Teflon plan. In addition, we keep developing advanced weapon and technology and increasing the number of exercise and training. We continue to raise the combat readiness of the IDF and the reservists. We are doing so in order to ensure that we are ready for any threat from near or far. But it is our soldiers, the Israel's finest, who guarantee that we will stand strong and united for the next 62 years and long after that. Along our journey to peace and security, we gain strength by knowing that you and the American people are by our side. The special relationship we share is based first and foremost on intimate and powerful ideological bond. Our friendship with the United States is demonstrated in so many ways. Just this morning, I met with the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, my colleague, to discuss our cooperation. Another example was Juniper Corba, an exercise which tested elements of the Joint Active Missile Defense System. These steps represent significant progress in expanding the dialogue, the cooperation, and the readiness of the two militaries. Dear friends, as Pesach, the holiday of freedom, is approaching, let us all remember that not everyone will be free to celebrate the Seder with his loving family. Gilad Shalit was abducted by Hamas terrorists more than 3 years ago. Let's hope that by Passover, Gilad and all the abducted and missing soldiers will be celebrating with the Seder at home with us. Finally, as we salute IDF soldiers and their efforts, allow me to salute you on their behalf for your cooperation, your support, your friendship, for opening your doors and hearts. It is critical that you know that is the love you shower upon us which assists our soldiers to complete their mission, helping to pave the way to peace. In order to show our appreciation, I have chosen to bring you a prayer for peace for the state of Israel, who had written by the Nobel Prize winner, the author Shai Agnon, with my signature. Together with you, and on behalf of the Israeli citizen and the IDF soldiers, I carry this prayer. Our Father in heaven, bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our Holy Land. Deliver them. Crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace, and its inhabitant with lasting joy. אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. חזק את ידי מגיני ארץ קודשנו, והנחילם אלוהינו ישועה ועטרת ניצחון תעטרם. ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה. אמן. Thank you very much, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you so much, General Ashkenazi. We loved having you by remote last year, but this year we love having you in person even more. Thank you so much. And we wish you continued strength and success. Just as you've motivated and inspired your soldiers, you have motivated and inspired us tonight. Thank you, sir. Now, General Ashkenazi just introduced you to a very special soldier, but I would like for you to get to know him a little bit more. As a commando in Shayatet 13, which is the elite IDF Special Forces Naval Commando Unit, Tal Shabbat was on a mission in North Gaza when a sniper shot found him. Even with the IDF's rapid medical response, it looked grim. Tal lay in a coma for 2 weeks. When he awoke, it was clear that he had suffered massive brain damage. But with the incredible determination and resilience that is the hallmark of the Navy SEALs, Tal embarked on a strenuous 3-year rehabilitation that took him from a hospital wheelchair to a very special spot alongside the Chief of Staff in Poland. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Tal Shabbat.
Thank you very much. Very, very much.
How did you do it, Tal?
Well, tell the truth, right after the injury, in the first 5-6 months, I thought I'm in a dream. It was like I go to sleep, like one
like
day.
a nightmare?
Yes. Get up in the morning, and suddenly I see myself on a wheelchair, and see only in one eye. I didn't believe it wasn't real. I thought I'm in a dream. And then month after month, after 5 to 6 months, I said to myself, well, in the usual life, this is you. This is what happened. Accept this. You live once, like the most people I know. And said to myself, give as much as you can, do as fast, as hard as you can to go back to the normal life. And I'm still today.
Your strength of character, you are the IDF.
Yeah.
You are. It's so amazing what you've accomplished all over the last 3 years. And I want you to tell us what it was like for you to visit the Nazi death camps alongside the Chief of Staff.
I'll tell the truth, before I injured, when I was young, it was very, very hard for me to believe it happened to us 50 years ago. And after the injured, when I was with Gabi Ashkenazi in Poland, I was with him and all the other people that were with us. It was even harder for me to believe it happened to us. And I was next to him, and I was very, very proud of who we are today, what we are today.
Tal, you're only 25 years old. You're a mere babe. What are your plans for the future?
Well, I'm still in the rehabilitation till now. And I don't know, I'm still working on it. Mm-hmm. I'll need to put myself in all the things I need to replace to myself after the injury. And then, I don't know, when I get to the moment when I say to myself, that's it, you gave the best you can. Now, I will try as much as I can to enjoy life, to travel, to start to work, to learn like everybody else, for normal life, like everybody else.
You know, Tal and I just met about an hour ago, and we talked, and it occurred to me that Israel will not just survive, but will thrive because of people like Tal Shabbat.
I'm a normal man. Thank you very much.
Well, as we have heard tonight, the specter of an Iran with a nuclear weapon capability has the world mesmerized and terrified, and with good reason. But there's potentially an even larger Iranian threat to international as well as Israeli security, one that Iran is artfully masking by keeping the world's attention focused on its nuclear escapades. Iran has expanded its destabilizing sphere of influence in the region by supplying weapons, troops, and training to insurgents and terrorist organizations throughout the Middle East and East Africa. Its fingerprints can be seen in Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza, just to name a few. Iran has also established a disturbing and growing naval presence in the area. Israel cannot and has not taken Iran's increasing threat lightly. Tonight, we will give you a tiny glimpse into how Israel is quietly counteracting Iran's pernicious meddling. And I use the word glimpse on purpose because most of what takes place can never and will never see the light of day. Ladies and gentlemen, we take you now live via satellite to the main naval base of IDF in Haifa, home to its naval fleet. And we're very privileged to have with us this evening IDF Navy Chief of Staff, Rear Admiral Roni Ben-Yehuda. Admiral, thank you so much for joining us here at a very early hour in Israel. We know that it's almost 4 a.m. there, and Admiral, I hope you could hear the vast applause coming to you from New York. You know, Admiral, I have to be totally honest with you, sir, that when we think of the IDF, a Navy ship is not the first image that comes to mind.
Believe me, you are not alone in your perception. But the fact is that Israel has more than 120 miles of coastline to defend. In fact, our shoreline is our longest border. Israel always had a small and very sophisticated navy. And now, when Iran has taken weapons smuggling to a whole new level, it requires us to expand our capabilities and extend our reach in order to challenge this threat.
Admiral, can you please describe for us some of those capabilities?
Well, Monica, our line of defense includes a combination of various tools. It includes, of course, intelligence, a lot of security patrols and reconnaissance. We have to analyze all this information and try to develop patterns and models that will help us define when things are not going exactly the way they should be and where to further investigate. It's a massive effort for us, and we have to monitor all the relevant cargo shipping lines in the Mediterranean and also in the Red Sea.
Admiral, I understand that you're going to share with us a specific example of how this integrated effort was put to use very recently.
Yes, that's correct. And for that, I'm going to bring in 2 officers that took part in the actual mission. And I apologize that for security reasons, I'm going to introduce them by their first name only. Next to me, it's Commander Ziv. He's a commanding officer of INS Elat. And the young man next to him is Lieutenant Gal. He's from our commando unit. And as a Navy SEAL, I'm sorry again, but we can't show his face.
Well, that we certainly understand. Admiral, thank you very much. I want you to tell us, please, about your role, Commander Ziv.
Good evening, everyone in New York. Please, Ziv will be enough. As Admiral Ben-Yehuda introduced me, I'm the commander officer of the Israel Navy ship Elat. And I'm very proud to be the commander of this ship. First of all, because of the wonderful crew, and second of all, on a more personal note, my father served as a soldier on the original Elat that was sank by the Egyptian back in 1967. My ship, Israel Navy ship, the Elat, is a corvette. We call it SAR 5 class. It was built in Ingalls Shipyard in Pascagoula, Mississippi. And it's a multi-mission ship. We are not a very big Navy, so every ship had to do a lot of mission, and in every ship we need to have a lot of capabilities. For example, in my ship we have surface-to-surface capabilities, surface-to-air and anti-missile capabilities. We can deploy a helo, the Panther helo, from our flying deck in a matter of minutes. We also have special weapons that are designed to engage small boats, highly maneuverable boats, such as the inflatable Zodiac boats that are in favor by the terrorist organization, and we engage them in very close range.
Ziv, I understand though that on this particular mission, I heard that you encountered something a little bit bigger than a Zodiac boat. Tell us about that.
Yes, Monica, you are correct. We got some information that a big shipment of weapon is in transit from Iran to a terrorist organization. Once we got this information, my crew and myself went underway to find and intercept this ship. Under any circumstances, this is not an easy mission. But as it happened on this particular day, the sea condition was not in our favor. The wind was very strong, the waves were very high, up to 7 meters. It's more than 22 feet high waves.
Ziv, I have to stop you there for a second so that can sink in with the audience here. A 22-foot wave, that is one fierce wave. Would waiting one day have made a difference?
Monica, I have to ask myself a very basic question. Could my enemy be out there in those conditions trying to transit this weapon? If there's a slight possibility that he will be out there, I and my crew will be out there also to stop him.
Well, when you put it that way, we can certainly understand why you took the risk. And I hope you can hear the applause here in New York. Please go on, Ziv.
Okay, it took us a full week to find this ship. We used special technologies that I can't go into it. We investigate dozens of ships. Most of them didn't knew that we investigate them. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Eventually, we found one particular ship, the Frankop, that fitted the intelligent profile. We approached the ship. And checked that everything is suited according to the information that we had.
I just want to make sure that we have the scene set properly. The Frankop has stopped at your request, Ziv. You've been joined by a commando team and a support ship. Now what?
Well, Monica, according to our protocol and international law, we approach the ship, identify ourselves as an Israeli warship. We order the Frankop to stop its engine and we ask them a couple of routine questions. According to the answer, I can say that the captain of the Frankop, he was a Polish nationality, didn't know what he carried inside his ship. I truly believe that he knew nothing about the weapon that he had on board, and he believes that the cargo that he's carrying is according to the manifest. But we asked him if we can board his ship and search for the suspicious armies that we thought that are on board his ship.
Ziv, is this kind of thing standard operating procedure at sea?
Absolutely, absolutely, Monica. According to the international law, a warship can approach a ship even if it's in international water. If we are suspecting that the ship is carrying weapon and ammunition, we can approach it, ask it to stop, and ask its permission to board it. The US Navy does it, NATO does it, and also we do it. Once he allowed us to board his ship, we called Gal and his team, and they board the ship.
Well, that is correct. Our unit practice all the time on different techniques of boarding this kind of ship without being detected. It's something I would love to show you, but of course it is a secret because we don't know our enemies to know how we do it. In this operation, however, they kindly enough lowered us the rope ladder, which we much prefer.
Very understandable. So the next phase of this operation is that you guys cleared the boat, right?
Well, it's not that simple, Monica. You have to understand that this is a huge ship. Only the cargo area is about half of the size of the Waldorf Astoria. So according to protocol, what we did first is scanning and clearing the bridge and the living area from all the people and gathering them around at the back of the ship. After we did that, we started scanning very carefully and very thoroughly the cargo area. We are doing it with a specific technician and with a dog who is specially trained to sniff explosives. When we started to open the big containers, everything looks normal actually. There were only plastic bags and a lot of them, but the dog all the time barked. So what we did, we just took out some of the bags, and after 2 rows of plastic bags, we found actually crates and crates from crates containing a lot of ammunition, rockets, explosives. We felt that we found a mother lode. Because of technical problems that we couldn't able to open all the containers, we headed the Franco ship to Ashdod harbor in order to unload the entire shipment and check it thoroughly. This is 650 tons of weapons and explosives. Just to clear it up, this is the amount of weapons that Hezbollah used during 1 month of fighting against Israel in the Second Lebanon War. It's a huge amount of weapons. I must say that the captain was very professional and polite while we checked his ship, but when we showed him what he was carrying on him, he was shocked.
Gal, if I may interrupt you for a moment, this is an example of how Iran regards human life. Just think about it for a moment. Handling a shipment of weapons is not like handling a regular cargo. Iran pushed very dangerous cargo inside containers and set them on a ship without handling in a proper way. They put the men on board the ship, the men that handle the cargo inside the ports, and a lot of innocent men in the surrounding neighborhood in great danger because of how they handle the cargo.
It's unbelievable, but then again, we are talking about
Absolutely.
Iran, so I guess it's totally believable. Admiral, let me turn to you here for a moment. I can't help but wonder if there are so many unpublicized missions that the Israeli Navy has executed, similar to this one, similar to the Frank Op. Why has Israel chosen to talk about this particular operation?
Well, we do this from time to time for a number of reasons. First, we need the world to see what Iran is really up to and how truly dangerous it is, not only towards Israel, but also towards other nations. And surely we are sending here a message that Israel has the capabilities, the tools, and of course the determination to do everything it takes on every front in order to keep our borders safe and of course protect our citizens.
Clearly, UN resolutions and international sanctions will not deter Iran, but God willing, the Israeli Navy and the entire IDF will be able to continue to be successful in defeating Israel's enemies on land, in the air, and at sea. Admiral Ben-Yehuda, you must be very proud of your men. I know that we certainly are here in New York and throughout the United States. Our great thanks to you as well as Commander Ziv and Dr. Gal for taking the time to talk to us today. Stay safe and God bless.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, here's our dinner chairman, Benny Shabtai.
I hold here in my hand a copy of United Nations Security Council Resolution 1747 that states that Iran shall not supply, sell, or transfer any arms or related material. Does anybody here feel comfortable and confident that this resolution and others like it will keep Israel safe? I know I don't. Let's be serious. When it comes to keep Israel safe, there is unfortunately only one answer: the blood, the sweat, and the dedication of the soldiers of the Israeli Defense Forces. It is not about the word on paper. It is about young men and women like the ones we heard from tonight. It is a sailor who braved 20-foot high seas to intercept arms that Iran is smuggling to Hamas and Hezbollah. It is the commandos like Tal Shabbat who risk their lives behind enemy lines. It is the combat soldiers who guard Israel borders day in and day out. Those young men and women know full well how dangerous the assignment. But as we have just heard, they are more determined than ever to succeed. The price they pay for their devotion is steep, especially when it includes the precious life of a young soldier, a soldier such as Laron Ben-Yehuda. To pay tribute to this fallen hero of Israel, we are privileged to have with us his father, Guy Ben-Yehuda.
Good evening. My name is Guy Ben-Yehuda, and as you can see, I'm deaf, as is my dear wife, Gila. We were blessed with 3 children, Liran, blessed memory, Yamit and Tamir, who are hearing. Gila and I always considered ourselves fortunate to have one another and our small little family. Liran, our firstborn, was handsome and loving. Early on, somehow, he realized that we couldn't hear, but he could. Quickly, he turned to be our voice and our connection to the Word. During the Gulf War, Israel was under the threat of Iraqi Scud missiles. My extended family moved in with us so we could take turns monitoring the TV that directed us to run to the so-called safe room. We were a total of 9 people, and the only one who could hear were Yamit, who was an infant, and Liran, who was 3 years old. One night during the ordeal, in spite of our plan to leave someone awake at all times, we all fell asleep. All of a sudden, I felt Liran shaking me. He was shaking me awake. I thought it was one of the usual things where my son is asking for a glass of water, but Liran signed the sign for alarm, so we all ran to the safe room. I looked at my son with amazement. Not only that this little toddler understood the meaning of the alarm, but he realized that it's up to him to act and to take care of us. Such responsibility never fazed Liran. He never tried to hide the fact that his parents are deaf. On the contrary, he always brought his friends home and bragged, "It's okay, you can make as much noise as you'd like, my parents are deaf." Whatever he did it with a smile, and he did it from all of his heart. When Liran turned 18, it was his time to join the army. Because of our deafness, Liran was exempt from combat position that would put him at risk, but Liran didn't accept it. He wanted to do something meaningful for his country. He wanted to be a combat soldier and to take an active part in defending the Jewish homeland. On the other hand, Liran was aware of what sacrifice it would be for our entire family. It would impact our life on a daily basis. Since Laron was our voice and our ears, Laron sat Gila and I down, and he asked us to grant him a permission to be a combat soldier in Givati. He didn't have to do that, since the army is not requiring permission from parents, but Laron felt that he couldn't do it behind our back. It was really hard for us. But we saw how important it was for Laron, and we gave him our blessing and said yes. Every time Laron could, he would come home, and the entire family waited to those precious moments to see him, to hug him, and to learn about his experiences in the army. On Wednesday, March 5th, 2008, it was one of those wonderful moments where Laron texted us, and he said that he and his good friend Neve are in the area and they are starving. They asked, could we stop for lunch? We sat across from each other, gazing at our beloved Laron. We saw how he had changed. The change was so marked that, in fact, we asked Laron if he was wearing new uniform. But no, it was a glow that came from within. When he left, we hugged him tight and told him to take care. That was the last time we saw him. For the very next day, Laron, along with other soldiers, went to a usual morning patrol in Gaza to check that no terrorists broke through the Gaza fence. All of a sudden, their army jeep they were riding was hit by a roadside bomb, and Laron took the full force of the blast. Laron was badly wounded. Officers came to our home to inform us about Laron. They took us to the hospital, and the doctor told us that Laron lost both of his legs, and he lost a great deal of blood. We enter Laron's room, where our beloved, tall, handsome Laron laid with half of him missing. For 3 days, we sat next to his bed and prayed to God to save our child. For 3 days, it seems like the entire state of Israel prayed for the recovery of Laron. For 3 days, Laron fought for his life. On March 9th, 2008, this exact day, 2 years ago, Laron died. We couldn't stop crying and screaming. I stand here before you tonight, trying to convey to you the darkness of that same moment and how dark was the past 2 years. And I miss Laron's hug, smile, his scent. I miss Laron's happiness that he brought us. And I don't know how I have the strength to live without him for 2 years. Laron was our right hand, our peace of mind, our light in this world. Since that moment that we lost Laron, our world revolved around sorrows, cemeteries, and pain that will never go away. But at this moment, I'm standing here with tears in my eyes. I also stand here with pride. I'm proud of Laron. I'm proud of our soldiers. I'm proud of our army. and I'm proud of our country. My family and I would like to thank you for your support and help in the state of Israel. Thank you very much.
Standing for a moment, silence, as we remember Laron, as well as all the precious young men and women who have sacrificed their lives this past year in order to protect the state of Israel and the Jewish people. Thank you.
כשהלב בוכה, רק אלוהים שומע, הכאב עולה מתוך הנשמה, אדם נופל לפני שהוא שוקע, בתפילה קטנה חותכת הדממה. שמע ישראל אלוהי, אתה כל יכול, נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל. בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת. שמע ישראל אלוהי, עכשיו אני לבד, חזק אותי אלוהי, עשה שלא אבחר. הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח, עשה שיגמר, כי לא נותר בי
Laron Ben-Yehuda did not have to be a combat soldier. He did not have to risk his life in the front lines, but he refused to take the easy way out. He fought for the honor and the privilege of defending Israel. And he is not alone. At 18, young Israeli men and women, kids, really kids, leaves their childhood behind to become soldiers. Overnight, they lose the innocence. They should be driving to the mall, not patrolling the border. They should be going to water parks, not intercepting a suspicious vessel on the high seas. And they should be teaching their children to walk instead of having to learn how to walk again themselves. But yet, despite all of that, how did Mr. Ben-Yehuda put it? The glow from within. They glow from within because they know that they are doing what's need to be done for the families, for Israel, and for all of us.